Hi, I'm Helen from the LEEP team, and today we're going to be talking about food and drink and how it affects your lungs and how we can eat well for our lung health. So, what will we be covering today? We're going to talk about the 5 main food groups and how they support you with keeping your lungs healthy. We're hopefully along the way going to be dispelling some myths. We're going to talk a little bit about the food that you eat and how that might affect your symptoms, and also some ideas about how you might help that. And finally, we're going to touch a little bit on weight management. First thing I have to do is get a little bit of a disclaimer out. I'm a physiotherapist, I'm not a dietitian. So what I'm going to be talking about today is general advice from the government about healthy eating in relation to your lung health. If after listening to this today you feel you have some extra questions or you need some more support with your diet and your weight, then you need to speak to your GP, who can then refer you to the local and relevant healthcare professional for support. So, the 5 main food groups. We have fruit and vegetables, we have carbohydrates, we have protein, dairy and fats. So here on the screen, this lovely colourful diagram is published by the government and shows us the balance of food that we need in our diet. So we can see here the fruit and vegetables, the carbohydrates, the proteins, the dairy, and then this little thin bit is your fats. But also it's important to note a couple of things that are outside of the circle: your high sugar food and also hydration. It used to be in the shape of a plate, but now we just call it a guide. So we're going to start off with fruit and vegetables. Now, fruit and vegetables are really important for your lung health. They contain a range of vitamins and minerals that help with your immune system. They also contain a lot of fibre that will help you feel fuller for longer and also keep your bowels moving. It's important to keep your immune system strong so that you are resilient and able to fight off infections, and when you are unwell, you will get better quicker. It's important that we try and aim for 5 portions at least of fruit and vegetables every day. So, what about the sugar in fruit? We often get asked this question because fruit gets a bad press for containing large amounts of sugar. The sugar contained in fruit is naturally occurring, and when compared to refined or added sugar, such as those contained in sweets and cakes, the sugar in fruit travels through your digestive system a lot slower and has more nutritional value when compared to products that contain refined sugar. So all in all, fruit is a good option. It also contains the vitamins and minerals and fibre that we need as well for a healthy diet. So the second food group is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates give your body energy for breathing and for moving around. They include foods like potatoes, bread, rice and pasta. Now, it's important, if possible, to make whole grain choices. Again, this is due to the refined nature or changed nature of carbohydrates that are white in colour. Whole grain carbohydrates contain a larger portion of fibre and again make you feel fuller for longer and have more nutritional benefit. It's important to try and have carbohydrates with every meal unless you are on a specific diet for your medical condition. In fact, the government recommends that 1/3 of our calorific intake be gained from carbohydrates, another 1/3 from fruit and vegetables. Therefore, half of the calories that you take in every day should come from this food group, the carbohydrates, and your fruit and vegetables. Now on to proteins, another big food group. Proteins help to keep your muscles strong, and this is important for breathing because, as we've learned previously, there are a number of large muscles involved in the breathing process, but also is really important for keeping active and for doing your exercises during pulmonary rehab and moving on into the future. Proteins are also contained within your immune system. Good examples of protein are the fish, your pulses, eggs, nuts, and also meat. But again, we would recommend lean, unprocessed meat as a good source of protein. Now, it's important to try and have at least 2 portions of fish every week, one of which should be oily in nature. And this is again to try and support your immune system. Now, we always have the discussion with people that they don't enjoy fish. So if you are unable to tolerate or enjoy eating fish, it might be worth discussing with your GP or pharmacist, taking a supplement to replace the oils contained in an oily fish. Examples of oily fish are sardines, mackerel, tuna, but not tinned tuna, salmon, etc. Now, once fish goes into a tin, it continues to maintain its nutritional value. The only examples where it doesn't is that of tuna, which only has good nutritional benefit as a fresh tuna steak. And now on to our last big food group, dairy. Dairy foods such as milk, cheese, yogurt are a good source of protein, which, as we discussed before on the previous slide, helps keep your muscles strong and helps you to maintain your activity levels. But they also contain vitamins and minerals, including calcium. Now, calcium is important for maintaining bone health. And if part of your treatment for your lung condition involves tablets or infusions that contain steroids, dairy is particularly important. Now, one of the biggest side effects of using steroids regularly is that they can reduce your bone density and potentially you may go on to develop osteoporosis. So it's very important to ensure that you maintain your dairy intake, that is 3 portions of dairy a day. Now, if you have a dairy allergy, then there are lots of alternatives on the market that contain similar levels of calcium to pure dairy products. Now, we always have questions from people regarding milk and phlegm or mucus. Now, people anecdotally tell us that drinking milk makes their phlegm thicker. So therefore, we have reluctance to drink and consume dairy products for fear of their phlegm getting thicker. There is no scientific evidence for this, but if you feel that dairy is contributing to the viscosity of your phlegm, then there are lots of alternatives such as soya milk, almond milk, coconut milk, goat's cheese, nut butters, for example. Now, make sure that if you decide to go on to milk alternatives, that they do contain fortification with calcium. Now, onto our last food group in the plate diagram that I showed you previously. Now, fats in the past have got a really bad press as causing us to gain weight and also contributing to poor heart health. We now know that we all need some fat in our diets, but it's important that you make the right choices. We need fats to help us get energy. They particularly help us to absorb vitamins from our diet. They contribute to our immune system and they help our brains function. Now, fats are split generally into 2 different sorts, saturated and unsaturated fats, and you may be familiar with these terms. Now, foods containing unsaturated fats include avocado, nuts, olive oil, vegetable oil, etc. Now, these are the good fats, the fats that contribute to your good health and will help you absorb those vitamins. Foods containing saturated fat include cream, cheese, butter, potentially whole milk dairy products, and also the fat contained on meats such as a fatty steak or fatty mince. These products here also contain dietary cholesterol. So these are the products that we have to be careful with because they can contribute to you having a poor heart health. So remember at the beginning I talked about a few food groups that were outside of the plate. Now these are the food groups that sit outside the plate. Now it's important to, we felt that it's important to acknowledge these foods because we do eat them. It's just that they are not a requirement of our everyday needs. But it's important not to ban things from your diet because banning things will only make you crave them more. I always have the motto that everything is okay in moderation. So there's no reason why you can't enjoy the occasional treat, such as your cake, biscuits, etc. But one way of enjoying your treat even more is don't drink your sugar or calories. So a full can of pop, fizzy pop, can contain over 9 teaspoons of refined, so that's the bad sugars we talked about earlier, and therefore by drinking that can of full fat Coke, you've consumed a large portion of your refined sugar calories. So it's often important to think about switching to healthier snacks such as popcorn, nuts, maybe some dried fruit, because dried fruit can contribute to your 5 a day as long as you just have the right portion. And also chocolate. Now we're not talking about your lovely dairy milk chocolate unfortunately, but we are talking about high cocoa 70% dark chocolate. Now also sat outside the plate shape is water. Now it's important to acknowledge water as part of our diet because it's really important to ensure that your body is working well. Now in previous presentations we have talked about the importance of maintaining hydration in ensuring adequate clearance of your chest of phlegm. So we need to make sure that we try and keep our phlegm moving by drinking approximately 6 to 8 glasses of fluid every day. Now when we talk about a glass, it's approximately 250 mils. Now in that fluid intake, we can also include other things. It's not just water. So sugar-free squash, tea and coffee, although decaffeinated is of more benefit than the caffeinated variety, and fruit juice as well. Now fruit juice contains quite a bit of refined sugar, so we just need to be a little bit careful and just stick to 1 cup of fruit juice every day, and this can also count towards your 5 a day fruit and vegetable intake. So that's a little bit about the main food groups and then those foods and drink that sit outside of our plate that we saw earlier. Now we're going to talk a little bit how food might make you feel with respect to your lung condition. Now some of the things that patients tell us are things such as feeling breathless while eating, having a dry mouth, and feeling bloated or like they have trapped wind following a meal. And all of this can affect how and when you eat. So some hints and tips about what to do if you're out of breath when you eat. Now getting out of breath when you eat is very normal. It's to do with the fact that you need to breathe and swallow separately. So every time you swallow, it closes off your airway very briefly while you swallow and then opens it back up. But that slight change can make some people feel significantly more breathless than usual, and this can put you off eating. Our advice to you is to make sure that you consider foods that are a bit softer and that are easier to swallow, that you think about spreading your food out throughout the day so you don't spend so much time on the meal, and so therefore it's not as tiring for you. It's also important to try and eat in a relaxed environment, maybe not so many people around you, so you're not distracted with talking, etc., which further can influence your breathing. Some patients tell us that their mouth can become dry, so therefore eating becomes unpleasant. A dry mouth can be caused by breathing through your mouth predominantly, which is common with people with a lung condition. Some of your inhalers will have a side effect of dry mouth, and also if you are on oxygen treatment, this can make you feel dry. Now, it's important to manage your dry mouth, that you again remain hydrated, drinking plenty of fluids throughout the day. You may feel that sucking boiled sweets, using sugar-free chewing gum, frozen grapes or pineapple can help keep you hydrated. The other thing that can potentially be useful if you've tried a lot of these natural mechanisms is to talk to your GP, because you can be prescribed products to increase the amount of saliva that you are producing. Another complaint from patients is that they feel bloated and have trapped wind following eating. Again, it's important to try and focus when you're eating. Try not to have too many distractions or conversations during your meal, because this can contribute to the conflict between eating and breathing. It's also advisable to avoid foods that cause gas, such as lots of pulses, the calabrese family, such as broccoli, cauliflower, etc. Again, try not to eat too much at one sitting. You might feel that you want to spread your meals out through the day. I mean, there isn't a law in the world that means that you have to have breakfast at breakfast time. You can choose to have your breakfast later on in the day, for example. And things that might help are things such as peppermint tea, which can, or peppermints themselves, sugar-free, just to try and settle that wind down. So now I'm just going to touch a little bit on the importance of maintaining a healthy weight with respect to your lung health. So when you have a lung condition, it's really important to try and stay a healthy weight. If you're overweight, then it's much more difficult to move around, and therefore your breathing can be a lot more difficult. And also, if you tend to carry your weight at the front, this is in close proximity to your diaphragm, the big breathing muscle, and therefore it's much more difficult for that breathing muscle to work. If you're underweight, we also could run into problems, because your breathing muscles potentially will be weaker, and it will mean that you'll feel more breathless. Also, your general muscles may well feel weaker, and it will be more difficult for you to move around, and you will have less resilience to infection, and it will take you longer to recover from infections. Now, lots of you would have heard of the term BMI. Now, BMI stands for Body Mass Index, and it's a measure that uses a combination of your height and your weight to work out if you are a healthy weight. Now, this isn't a foolproof way of working out if you are under or overweight, but it's something that we can use as a guide with a number of other things to help us judge whether you are a healthy weight. Now, the government recommend that we try and maintain our body mass index around 18.5 to 24.9. Now, if you're interested in what your BMI is, then when you next are able to visit your GP surgery for your review of your lung condition, they should be able to tell you. But we always get the comments, but muscle, does it not weigh more than fat? Now, it's a good point, because the BMI, so the body mass index system, does not work for everybody. Our example is the elite England rugby team. If you put them on the scales and then use their height, then their body mass index will come out as them being obese. And we all know that the England rugby team are not obese. So, why are they coming out like that? So the important thing is that muscle is much more dense than fat and takes up a lot less room. So in some examples, particularly with elite athletes, the body mass index comes out as obese, but the person themselves are very, if not if not extremely healthy and fit. So the body mass index is not foolproof, and so I'm going on now to talk about a few other ways we can work out if we are a healthy weight. Waist circumference is one of them. Now we need to try and maintain our weight for men at 37 inches or 94 centimetres, and for women 31.5 inches or 80 centimetres for women. So that is a measure of how much weight you are carrying around your stomach, and it's a good indicator of your risk for certain conditions. But there are other things that will tell us if you're a healthy weight. Think about how your energy levels are. How do you feel physically? Do your clothes fit better? Are they becoming looser as maybe you're losing a little bit of weight? How is your sleeping? Are there other improvements in things such as your blood pressure, your heart rate, or your blood glucose levels? So it's not just about your weight or your body mass index. There are other things that will tell you whether you are healthy or not, and it's important to use a range of things to work out whether we are a healthy weight. Now, on to a little bit about being underweight. People may well eat less because eating makes you feel breathless, and your body will be working harder to compensate for your breathing. Therefore, you will need more calories to maintain your body weight. You may well not be getting enough nutrients into your diet, so therefore you'll find that your muscles will be weaker, and that means it'll be more difficult for you to move around, and therefore you will be more prone to chest infections, and you may feel more fatigued or out of breath, making eating more difficult, and also more difficult to prepare your own meals. And we kind of get into a cycle of losing weight, becoming more out of breath, less energy, not able to make our meals even more, etc., etc. So if you're underweight, or you've been told that you're underweight, some things to think about is making sure that you snack regularly. Now, a lot of this is going to go against what I've just said, but the important thing is to try and put some weight on. If you don't really find that you feel like food, you can try some nourishing drinks such as milkshakes, full fat milk, etc. Try and avoid diet foods, sugar-free, low fat, etc. And try and avoid drinking any form of fluid just before you eat. It will make you full up, and it will make you feel bloated, so you're less likely to eat at your mealtime. The other thing again is to look at trying to spread your food out during the day so it doesn't seem such a monumental effort to prepare and eat your field. If despite all your best efforts you are continuing to lose weight, it's important that you talk to your doctor or healthcare professional. So a little bit about being overweight and having a lung condition. You may well find that your lung condition causes you to put on weight. For example, some of the medication that you're taking can cause you to gain weight, and also if you are less likely to be active due to your breathing, then you may well find that you're gaining weight due to being more sedentary. Now, some general tips for those people who feel that they are overweight or know that they're overweight and are looking to try and lose some. Try and limit those white carbohydrates. Now, we talked about the first choice for carbohydrates should be your whole grain brown carbohydrates. Try and limit any foods that have added refined sugar. Try and limit your processed foods, because with food processing there's a lot of hidden sugar and salt, which is going to be contributing to your potential weight gain, and it's really important to keep an eye on your portion sizes. It's useful to keep an eye on the food labelling. Now, try and look out for foods that contain less than 3 grams per 100 grams of total fat and less than 5 grams per 100 grams of sugar. Now, you can see here the traffic light system, and that can help you guide what is a healthy food for you. Now, for example, here we can see that this particular food has got a red sugar box. and this means that it is high in sugar. So if you're trying to lose weight, potentially this isn't the right choice for you. But I would be very aware of this, which is the portion size that label is talking about. So 30 grams of a cereal is approximately 2 tablespoons. And to be honest with you, I don't know many people who just eat 2 tablespoons of cereal. Okay, so if you're having a full bowl of your chosen cereal, you are probably needing to multiply that by at least 3. And so therefore, you're quickly into a meal that's giving you 15 grams of sugar. Again, trying to keep an eye on your portion sizes. We've got some examples here that you can go back and have a look at. For example, carbohydrates, your rice, pasta, etc. It's a fistful. And in comparison, your protein is a palmful. And it's really important to keep an eye on that, because that allows you to keep a handle on how many calories you are consuming over a day. So another common question we get often asked regarding weight gain is, why is it so common after quitting smoking? Now, smoking slightly increases your metabolism, that is how quickly you burn off calories, and also smoking can act as an appetite suppression, so you don't tend to eat as much when you're smoking. So therefore, when you're asked to quit smoking by your medical team to help with your lung condition, people sometimes find that they are gaining weight due to the fact that their metabolism goes back to normal, so they start burning calories at a normal weight, and your appetite will increase or go back to normal, and so therefore you are consuming more calories. So you may well find that giving up smoking does cause you to put on some weight. So therefore, if you are making a quit attempt, it's important to stay active and exercise to try and maintain your weight while you're giving up your cigarettes. So just in summary, today we have talked about the 5 main food groups and how they contribute to your lung health. We have talked to some problems that you might find regarding your breathing and eating, and of course we've touched briefly on weight management and the importance of maintaining a healthy weight when you have a lung condition. Now, we have some extra resources that you may well be interested if after this presentation you maybe identify that you need to lose or gain some weight. These resources can be found separately on our education site, but also you can email us at the LEEP information email address to get further information about these resources. Thank you very much for watching today.